This pizza recipe is sponsored by Squarespace, the only place you have to go to get a website designed, built, and up and running. Go to squarespace.com/Ragusia to get 10% off your first purchase. White pizza sauces are usually based on ricotta cheese, which is why they usually taste like nothing at all. I make my white pizza with a garlicky cream sauce. It sure ain't good for you, but at least it tastes like something. I'm using my standard pizza dough for this recipe. That's linked in the description, but here's the short version. Bloom yeast in warm sugar water, add more water, sugar, salt, olive oil, and bread flour. Mix until smooth and elastic. Then divide into individual balls, deposit each ball in its own oiled container, cover and throw immediately into the fridge. I like a long, slow, cold rise. I'm working with this dough after it's aged for almost 3 days. Actually, back up. Before you toss your dough, you gotta get your oven preheated. I'm using a pizza stone and I'm heating it with the oven at 550 Fahrenheit convection for a full hour before baking. While your stone or steel or whatever you're using is heating, it's time to make the sauce. I'm making enough for just one 12 or 13-inch pizza. 4 or 5 garlic cloves, get them chopped up pretty fine. Then I'll grate up some hard cheese. I'm using pecorino romano. You could use parmesan, but I think the acidity of a sheep's milk cheese does a lot to replace the acidity that you'd normally get from tomato sauce. I usually grate up a pile that's about the size of my garlic pile. How much garlic and cheese is that? I don't know, man. I just eyeball this stuff. Fine, I'll weigh it.
24 grams.
24 grams of garlic. How much cheese?
20 grams.
20 grams, or thereabouts. Okay, so in this pan I've got on medium heat, I'll melt a little butter. Doesn't have to be a non-stick pan, I just think that's easier to clean. Then garlic goes into the butter and you cook it until it's just starting to go golden. Before it burns, cover the pan with a good layer of heavy cream. Brits would call it double cream. How much cream was that? Oh, fine. I'll weigh the carton and subtract that from the original weight. 473 grams minus
322 grams
equals 151 grams, like half a cup. I just bring that to a boil, and before it boils over on me, I turn the heat off and let it cool down. You want to wait until the bubbling has pretty much stopped. That's important. I'll grind in some pepper. There's more than enough salt in the cheese, and if you put hard cheese into a sauce when it's really boiling, the proteins in the cheese will overcoagulate and it'll go grainy. I'll pull that off the heat to be safe. Now see how it's leaving a trail when I drag the spatula across the bottom? That's how I know the texture is perfect. That, by the way, is Alfredo sauce. You could just put that right on pasta, but don't eat too much of it. Okay, so you can put that aside and then stretch out your dough. I'm using cornmeal on the peel to keep the dough from sticking. And then, look at that. As it sits and cools, the sauce will really stiffen up. No problem, just mix in some fresh cream. This is really important because we want a very thin layer of sauce on our pizza, and if this sauce is too viscous, you won't be able to get it thin. How thin? Literally, as thin as is physically possible is what I try for. The sauce is very rich, very intense. I really don't like too much of it. I'm just slapping it on and using the silicone spatula like a putty knife. You might not need the whole recipe's worth to cover the pizza. Then comes cheese. If you're after that traditional New York-style flavor and texture, you need whole milk, low-moisture mozzarella. The only way I can get that where I live is molded into string cheese, which is why these are little rounds. Don't make fun of me, it's called being resourceful. On the pizza stone it goes, and you want to be particularly careful about not overcooking this one. If that sauce gets too hot, it'll break. The fat will separate out into a big yellow grease layer. That was right on the edge of happening with this pie. And yes, I rest my pizzas on a cooling rack. I think that keeps them crispier. What I like to do is let that cool down for a few minutes, then grab a stick or two of rosemary, chop it up, and sprinkle it on top. I think a white pizza is really screaming for some color contrast. There's still plenty of heat in that cheese to soften up the rosemary a bit, but waiting a few minutes before you put it on ensures that the rosemary won't go instantly brown. And there you go, white pizza that actually tastes like something. Gooey, cheesy, garlicky, real nice change of pace from tomato sauce. Hey, have you been to adamragusia.com yet? That's my new website that I just built with Squarespace. Yeah, it looks great here, but guess what? If it doesn't work on mobile, it doesn't work. Luckily, with Squarespace, you can just look right here and see how your website will look on mobile view or on tablet view. Honestly, every Squarespace template that I've tried looks great here or here. Look how nice food pictures look in these templates. Whether you want to start a restaurant, an online store, or just have an online personal presence, Squarespace is the one thing that you need. From design to e-commerce to analytics and marketing, it's all right there. You can start building a site for free right now at squarespace.com. And when you're ready to take it live or buy a domain, just go to squarespace.com/Ragusia and you'll save 10%. Link is in the description. Now finally, I've been getting a lot of questions about this. It's just an external hard drive on Velcro. There it is. All my pizzas are in there.